In the past few years, I've reached millions of people by writing articles. Now, a lot of people ask me, Daniel, how do you write your articles? It looks like it's so easy for you. How exactly do you get them published? Now, currently I write for HuffPost, and I've written for Entrepreneur, Business Insider, Time, Fortune, and a whole bunch of other magazines. And what I can tell you is that it takes a lot of time to learn how to write articles. But if you're committed to learning how to do it, I promise you that if you follow the steps within this video, you will be able to write the perfect articles. So here are the tips I have for you. Now, before you write an article, the first thing you have to do is to gather ideas. Typically, when I gather ideas for my articles, I write it down on a piece of paper. Sometimes I don't write the article immediately because I want it to marinate in my mind. I try to think about what people really know about the subject that I'm trying to address. So I'll write it down on a sticky tab and I'll get back to it later. Many of my articles have 3 to 12 points, and I want to make sure that they understand exactly what I'm trying to say. In order for me to project my understanding within that article, I try to make sure that I'm writing as if I'm addressing a 7th grader. And the reason why I do that is because if 7th graders can understand what I'm trying to say, then the whole entire world probably can too. Now, if you can't imagine what a 7th grader looks like, just think about what you would say to your younger self. Or, if you want to switch it up, what you would say to your older self. Because you see, there's so many ideas that can come about. Maybe you might even want to write to your kids. Maybe someone in your life really needs the subject that you're about to teach, and because you were thinking about them, you now have the inspiration and the ideas to write the article that you are about to write. Now, I've written hundreds of articles, and I can tell you that when I first started, I didn't really consider everyone's perspective. So I would warn you to think about everyone in the world. Don't just write to the people within your community or your state or your country. Write to the whole entire world. Try to help people understand exactly what you're trying to say, and use easy words to understand. Don't try to use words like splendiferous or any kind of word like supercalifragilisticexpialidocious. Keep it simple, because simplicity will help you to be able to articulate your message in much easier terms. Let's say, for instance, that you wanted to teach people how to become healthier, and your 3 points was to smile, work out more, and eat better. Now, you decide that because you've had some good experiences with these topics, you're going to flesh out these ideas and you write it down. Now, I'm going to give you the next steps so that you can be able to finish your article. The second tip is to pick a platform of your choice. Now, because a lot of people want to become healthy, there's a variety of places in which you can publish your article. For me, I like to publish on LinkedIn because I'm able to track my views, but also it's an easy way to navigate in the online world. Plus, their social media rankings are very high. But you can publish on other sites like Tumblr, WordPress, Facebook, Medium, and a whole bunch more. Whatever you do, pick a platform that can help you to share your message and energize the crowd that you are trying to reach. The third tip is to make sure that your format is perfect. When a lot of people write articles, they don't quite consider how they format their articles. They don't necessarily think about how it looks on paper. They just want to get their ideas out there. Now, one thing that I'm really good at is formatting my articles. I always insert quotes and stats and graphics of any kind, and I make sure that things are spaced out. One of the worst articles to read is the one that has no spacing at all. It's all single spaced, there's no spaces in between, and you basically get a headache because you're trying to read differentiating which sentence is which and what the author is really trying to say. So the key is to take a look at the way people format their articles and ask yourself, how can I make it easier for the people that is trying to read my work? Now, in order to really get this, take a look at some of my articles, which I'll link in the description below, because I think you'll like the format that I use. For instance, sometimes I write a 1,000 word article and I want to make sure I space things out adequately. So if I had 5 points, I want to make sure that I insert a quote after every single point, so it gives the reader a break to think about what I just said in my article. In the beginning of my articles, I also lead them in with a nice introduction, and I follow up with a nice conclusion, and I link my website so they can find me just in case they haven't met me before. By using this standard format, I'm able to help people to really digest what it is that I'm trying to say within my article. The fourth tip is to select a good photo and a headline. Now, you can write a masterful article, but if you don't have any way to gauge the interest and the attention of the people you're trying to reach, then no one is going to read your article. You see, the key to having a very good, well-rounded article is to lead them in with the headline. The headline will take them to the first sentence, which will eventually get them through the body of your article up until the last sentence. And of course, the better headline you choose and the better content you write, the more likely they're able to finish the article that you wrote. The key here is to get attention. A lot of people are looking for practical solutions. So in my articles, if you've seen, I've done a lot of how-tos or 5 ways to do this or 5 tips or something like that. So make sure you capture that and try to implement them within your own articles to see how it works. It'll work every time if you do it right. Now the fifth tip is very important, and this is something that I used to skip all the time. It's to proofread your work. When I first started writing articles, I would just throw out 1,000 words and I would just let it go and publish it. And I would have so many errors, and it would bother me because when someone called one out, which they would, I would have to go back into my article and nitpick at it. Now, I could have prevented all this by proofreading my articles and not say that I didn't have time, because that was my excuse. One thing you want to do is to make sure before you even hit the publish button, you proofread your article entirely. While it used to take me about 30 minutes to write an article, the proofreading process could take me up to 2 hours. And the reason is because I like to insert some ideas or even delete some ideas because they may not correspond to what I'm trying to project within the article. The proofreading process could even lead you to rewrite the whole entire article because it might not be exactly what you were trying to say. Whatever you do, try to proofread your body of work before you decide to publish it. The sixth tip is to edit your article. Now, proofreading and editing is actually substantially different because proofreading is going over it yourself. Editing is actually having someone else go over it. Now, I personally have my own editor, and you can find your own editor by looking on Craigslist or Fiverr, or just having someone that you know that is very savvy with the English language that can tutor you so that you can be able to produce the highest and best work. A lot of times you can pay your editor $10, $15, $20 for them to just go over your work. Whatever you decide to pay them, make sure you pay them fairly because editing is not an easy job. It takes at least an hour of consistent focus to be able to edit one article, and that's a minimum. So sometimes if you're writing a very deep article, it could take a couple hours. So be considerate when it comes to paying or rewarding your editor. Now the seventh and final tip is to promote your article. Now you can have a nice catchy headline and a nice photo. You can even have the best content in the world, but if you don't promote your article, then only a few people will see it, if that. So make sure you promote, and there's a lot of ways to do that, but make sure you promote your article so that people can read your ideas and give you feedback so you can write another good one. I often like to promote my articles on my email list or on my social media, and even to magazines who will like to read some of the things that I like to write. Now, it's totally up to you. You can pick any way that you can disseminate your information, but make sure that you do it so people can really see what you're about. Make sure that it corresponds with your brand and that you have something that's consistent with who you want to be. When you promote your articles, you'll find that many people will be able to read it and they'll share it with the whole entire world. In summary, I want to challenge you to write your own articles. Write at least one article every single month. Now, I know what you might be saying. Some of you might be saying, well, I'm not a good writer, or I don't know if they're going to like what I say, or I don't know how to do this, but give it a try. And your articles could be 300 words, 500 words, or like me, 1,000 words. It's totally up to you. You decide exactly what you want to say, write the headline, pick the photo, and get some points that correspond for what you truly believe in, and send it to me on my website. I'd love to see your articles in the future. If you like this video, smash the subscribe button and share this with some of your friends. If you have any questions, please list them below and I'll try to answer them as best as I can. I look forward to seeing your questions and I look forward to reading your articles.